welcome to the downside.
Hi.
I told my haircut. I said, can I get medium? And he
You think
went,
it's too short?
It was way too short.
Okay.
I was
listen,
shocked. I said medium. I don't know what
I can
little
see
would
why
be.
your initial thing would be, but I will say when you walked through, my initial thing was you looked a lot younger.
Stop it.
No, I'm being serious. I'm saying
It's when sometimes when the hair gets shorter, I feel like you can see
Maybe-
the age. You can see the balding. You can see everything.
I don't see that.
My beard is gray. I haven't
Well,
got my
like-
beard trimmed in more longer than normal, and the whites they're just coming out like crazy.
I get the whites on the side.
Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm just getting older. This year, definitely the year where
Dead.
dead.
This year, this is
This
when
year
I'm
just
finally
felt.
going to do it.
This year felt like oh okay, here we go. Phase 38. I don't know what I'd call it at this point.
Yeah.
But like a new phase of death.
Did your knees start creaking more? Like what else was happening?
Body's doing okay because
Okay.
I've been but I go now you're in shape. Now, right at the end. Right at the end, now it's too late. The other day I said, I want to take a ballet class. I want to see what it's like to be able to do the things that I couldn't do in college. Do you know what I mean?
What about the ballet class is intriguing to you?
I think I'm working on handstands with my trainer. And so I did breakdancing in high
Ballet
school.
trainer. Cool.
No. This is a regular trainer. A regular trainer. The ballet trainer's coming.
I was like, neat. What's that?
But so I tried doing breakdancing in high school because I was into like popping and locking. And I had no muscles though. I had zero muscles.
Sure.
And I would just injure myself severely. I was trying to do a handstand into a landing in a bridge.
Wait, I
And-
tried to do that too.
Yeah?
I tried to do it with the soccer ball where you flip over and then you throw it really hard.
Could you do it?
No, I really almost died, I think.
I know.
Yeah.
It was crazy to think. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I couldn't do a pull up and I was going to do a backflip.
Yeah.
There's no logic there. And now I go, it's too late.
Yeah.
Too late.
The first day I met you broke dance. That was my introduction to you.
And you were like,
Yeah,
I
that's-
gotta be
It
best
was a
friends.
rehearsal, and it was like we were all meeting you, and it was like special skills. And this guy said breakdancing.
It was a theater thing. To be
It was a
fair,
theater-
it
it was a
wasn't like
theater thing.
we met at the office of the new startup.
True.
And I
It
said,
was
I
like-
said, move the desks.
It was like share something about yourself, and his thing was breakdancing,
That's.
and you broke dance.
Can you break dance right now, please?
On
there's
pod.
not enough space.
Yeah, you got a lot of limbs.
It would be.
I'll move the couch so that this can happen.
Could you outdo Ray Gun from the Olympics?
Okay. First of all, I think it was interesting what she did.
I agree.
Wait,
it
was
was
she, was
interesting.
she saying
ever.
"fuck you"? Like
No.
no, she was serious.
She quit because everyone like bullied her so hard.
Oh.
Yeah.
But it sounds like her husband was involved with the competition that led to her being into it was corrupt in a weird way.
yeah.
But she's like not. If she did that at a party, we'd all go, "Whoa!
Yeah.
I didn't know you could break dance."
Yeah, right.
Yeah, not you. You'd go, "Ugh, why didn't you just sit?"
I guess I remembered you breakdancing, so we remember her. I don't know any other breakdancers, so there's that to say for her.
I can still do the worm.
You can?
Wow.
Wow.
Can you do the worm?
No.
I feel like you used to be able to do
How
all these
often
weird
are all of you
dances.
trying?
Thank you.
Me
But no.
never.
I
Okay.
try probably at least once a year. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. To move an object with my mind, to do the worm.
I
yeah,
bet-
there's certain yeah.
I bet I could do the worm right now.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
If I hurt
do
myself,
it.
I want to be clear.
What?
The episode's over.
Okay.
No,
okay.
just do it.
Don't
from
threaten
the
me.
floor.
With
Don't say-
Don't threaten me with a good time.
We might get a chance to talk
Yeah.
if he hurts himself.
Okay. For the listeners at home,
All right, let
Gianmarco
me-
is getting on the floor.
This is like more stressful than
You're
when
gonna
the,
have to go
the
to the
dudes
YouTube
on the
channel
subway
to see.
start.
Well, I guess you won't see it on the YouTube channel either because it'll be in the blind. Okay.
Whoa. Okay.
You'll just see-
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Do you have
pretty
downstairs
good.
neighbors?
I was
Wow,
just about
okay,
to say
pretty
that.
good. That's pretty good.
That was
That
nice.
was really good.
Gianmarco did do the worm.
This is the downside.
1, 2, 3. Downside. Downside.
You're listening to The Downside
The downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.
I landed right on my dick.
Really?
God, it really doesn't feel
Really?
good. Really doesn't
Why
feel
were you
good.
hard doing the worm?
That's the first mistake.
Hey, it took me 4 episodes to realize that. Okay, you did lower all the pictures so that they're in frame, and I've been wondering, like, it looks so weird that they're so low, but you're not thinking of the room. Like for those of us in the room,
Russell's
you're
new to
thinking-
the podcast.
You're
He
thinking
hasn't
of the
been the
audience,
co-host for
and now I just
3,000
was like,
episodes.
oh, that's why they're all so low. Okay, it all makes sense now. It took me a really long time because I was like, why? It looks so shitty. We got to get more things for up there. But you don't care about that. Anyways.
We are here with Carmen Lagala, Corey Tindall. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Comedians. We go way back.
Way back.
Way back. I think Paige sent me us competing in a comedy mob competition.
We did.
Whoa.
Yeah. 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Oh my God.
And then when I started stand up, you were like, it was like, oh, Carmen's on the lineup. Whoa.
Yeah.
I remember the
Really?
ghost. I remember the ghost bit.
That's changed.
Yeah. Oh. But I remember because I was really good friends with Jay Schmidt. Do you remember Jay? Did you guys date?
No. I'm so bad with names that that's
I'm
just
so bad with
like,
names too that honestly, when you had that reaction, I said I got his name wrong.
Maybe. I hope so.
Good,
I don't
we're
want it
both
to be on
bad with
me.
names.
Yeah. Terrible.
That's great.
Yeah.
You didn't get the name wrong.
Because before I said
Really?
both your names, and I know both your
look
names, but
this up?
I really was like,
Jay
here we go.
Schmidt?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's not,
You did a
it's
show
not
with him.
Smitty, is it?
No.
Jay Schmidt, he worked at
Jay Smitty? No.
No.
Schmitty.
Completely different person.
Well, okay.
I gotta
Well,
look
let
this
me.
up.
How
I
you
hope
doing,
I have
Russell?
a nickname
good,
for them.
how are you?
Oh my God.
I
You put Carmen in a panic
I'm like,
immediately.
oh, right. My best friend of
Yeah.
40 years.
This is the downside. If you're a fan of the show, join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. We're recording this episode a little bit early, but after the election. Thank God.
Thank God.
For the 5 people who stuck around. I don't have my glasses, but yep, that's him.
We don't even follow each other on Instagram.
He must have heard this episode already.
Please no one send this to him. I'm
He
following him right
replaced
now.
Russell. Okay. He replaced Russell in that Bachelorette show.
No, he didn't. Did he?
He was an understudy for your role.
Was he really?
Uh huh.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
You were never there when he was.
That's so true.
This show, we recorded a couple episodes before the election, posted after the election, and some people were like, please, we don't want to hear your election prophecies.
Yeah.
But we're here. And if you want timely episodes, join the Patreon. This is so I did your guys' podcast in cahoots.
Yes.
How long has that been going on?
A year.
Over a year.
A little over a
yeah,
year.
we're like 55, 56 episodes. You might have been our 1 year episode, actually. We
really?
just completely forgot to even announce it.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
came and went.
Yeah, 52. We should have done something.
Oops.
A cake. I don't know.
Yeah.
First, what happened to your finger?
Oh, I played basketball yesterday, and every time I play, I have like very, very weak hands.
Uh-huh.
So if the ball comes to me fast, it just like snaps my finger.
See, this is what I mean about our age.
Yes.
I would
I have
describe
I
her-
have like acid reflux. They were like,
Oh.
your discs are degenerating. I'm 39, so it's just like I keep falling apart, and you get to see what your future. He's only 30. He's a stupid little baby.
I would describe her hand jobs as flimsy. But I'm degenerating
You're
just
the
as
hardest
fast
bone
as
in
you
my
are. Yeah, exactly.
Wow, big age gap.
Big age gap.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of like it didn't phase me at first because you act like a child. Like you live. We both live like we're in our mid-20s. We're out all night.
Yeah, I get that.
We're
Yeah.
like, we sleep in late. So there was no part of me that was like, wow, this old broad, like I gotta make her tea and like carry her to
you?
bed. I don't know.
39-year-old
Yeah,
right?
right.
Great.
Were there any particular moments that you're like, oh damn, like for example, my assistant, there was Spice Girls was playing, and I believe she's 24, and I said to her, I was like, you know who this is, right? And she had no idea, and I really was like, wow, and I felt mad. I did that thing. I was like, how can you not know?
Yeah. And
as
they're
if that
"'Cause
was
I'm
like
20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would I? That'd be weirder if I did.
But it was shocking.
Dude, that exact same thing. Corey,
This is gonna hurt.
So Ice Spice was in the news, and Corey was like, is that a Spice Girl? And I was like, no, not even a little
oh my
bit.
God, really? You said that sincerely?
Yeah. I thought she was. I was like, wow, she looks really young. Wasn't she in the Spice Girls? And Carmen's like,
I understand
what?
the reasoning.
No.
I understand
Yeah,
the
it
logic.
makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
I did.
I didn't know who Ice Spice was for a long time. I didn't think she was a Spice Girl, but I didn't know. You know, there's certain celebrities that
Yeah.
you were like, you hear the name so many times, but you never know what they look like, and then it just like finally you do kind of. But
Yeah.
she was one of those for like a year.
Yeah.
You'd hear that name, you're like, don't know what that is.
Don't know what
Doja
that is.
Cat. Don't know. You know what I mean? Like, there's like lots of things like
You're
that.
like, is that Tennessee Williams sequel to
Yeah.
A Cat on a Hot Tin Roof?
Doja Cat.
Are you the oldest in your family?
Oldest in my family.
See, I feel like that's probably part of it too, where
Yep.
like my siblings would know who
Ew.
the Spice Girls were because their older brother was like into the Spice
Talking
Girls.
about it. No,
Talking about it
stop.
all the time. We each they sold like individual books depending on your favorite Spice Girl.
Oh my
And so
God.
like I know my sister Victoria, her favorite Spice Girl is Victoria. And that's not just because the name Posh Spice. She was
Yeah.
the like, I don't do that.
Yeah.
And that's my sister. And I like Baby Spice for some reason.
Oh,
She's a fucking pervert.
Yeah.
I was in second grade. Did you ever?
Sounds relatable to a second grader.
It's true. That does make sense. And we're all like, ew, gross, Gianmarco. She's a baby.
if they go on tour, she's got to change it. She's got to change it to like
what?
middle age. Middle-aged
At
Spice.
least teenage
Nubile
Spice.
Spice.
I hated someone called me. They said I'm an elder millennial, and I was like, "What the fuck?
Yeah.
You don't need to add that. Millennials moves.
Yeah.
Millennial moves. We don't need that."
Just-
I
but
said,
you're on the
thank you,
older end of it.
almost
Because-
dead boomer.
Because wait, so
Yeah.
you're technically a millennial.
I'm a millennial. It's down to like
28 or
27.
something, 7.
Yeah, something like that. So I'm on like the
So, like,
lower end of
43, right?
millennial. I remember 9/11 and I remember having dial-up. And those are the two markers that I use for millennial. But on the other end of this Spice Girls thing is she earnestly calls her Chappelle Roan. So I get to correct her
I
with
say
that
that a
type
lot.
of shit.
I say that a lot.
Yeah.
It's fun.
She didn't know who Sabrina Carpenter was today. I was
I was
like,
like, I said singer question mark, and then
the
yeah, I
biggest
got
artist in the world right now.
Yeah, I
Her
get
song
that, though.
Espresso. What? It's a terrible song.
Awful.
It's not
bad.
an awful
That's
song.
like the kind of
not
thing you
awful.
sing
It's
when
not
you're
the
making
best.
espresso and you're like in the morning when you're like, hey, I'm making espresso or what, like in a shitty little voice.
Yeah.
I
bad.
do think because you do see the cycles of like some parents or whatever are saying like Sabrina Carpenter's too sexual or whatever, and then people show a video of like Miley Cyrus like in her prime, and it's like you have no idea.
Yeah.
Miley Cyrus was nuts.
Or like Britney back in the day. Britney
Sure.
Spears.
I saw Britney in concert. I saw
Cool.
Britney Spears in concert. It was still during her like school.
Yeah.
That was the whole gimmick where she was like there was desks and they flipped over the desks and they were all like in their mid-20s pretending they were in high school. And my mom knew someone with the wherever we saw it, and we thought we might be able to get to see Britney Spears. And then the woman said, "No, Britney's not singing when she's being a real bitch." And I remember it because in retrospect I go like, "Oh, she was a bitch because she didn't want to see me in third grade after the show."
Yeah. Also, she
What
was
a
a child
bitch.
at the time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
What,
15-year-old's being a real cunt over here. You're like, she's a child.
But one thing we found out on the In Cahoots podcast, check it out. In Cahoots, we'll put the link in the
Please.
So desperate. Please, God, put it in the.
Why do we keep looking back at this camera?
I don't
we can
know.
look at
I know.
that
There's
camera.
one right there.
We keep looking at Joe.
No, we keep
Marco's
it on me the whole
camera.
time. This is just for you guys.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, the whole podcast was just a solo shot on me.
This one's just filming that one immediately.
This was the back of my head. My parents got divorced when I was a baby.
Yep.
Your parents got divorced when you were 9.
Yep.
And your parents got divorced when you were in high school, 16?
Oh, 15, 16, yeah.
15, 16. And your parents are still together.
Aw,
So far,
Russell, cute.
So far.
been 40 some odd years.
How
but
big
yeah.
of a shock would it be?
I mean, there's no way it would happen. Do you know what I mean? You just know that.
I don't know what you mean. I've never. So it feels like in a what do you call it in a scientific study? You're our
Control.
control.
Yeah.
So I think what I want to figure out is based on specific events.
Was it
What
our
age is
fault?
worse? What age is
Oh,
the
yeah.
worst age to have your parents get divorced? And if ultimately we look at his life and go, "You're actually in the worst,"
Yeah.
then that's great.
Okay.
That's fine too.
Yeah,
If we
yeah.
ultimately go like it's all better than this shit,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
I have one question for Russell. Are your
Yeah.
parents together because they like genuinely still like each other, or have they gotten to the point where it feels like if one of them left, the other one wouldn't be capable of living a normal life?
I think they would both struggle in very different ways if they left, but I do think that they're very much in love. My dad's obsessed
Okay.
with my mom. And my mom is very like. I mean, my dad had a health scare a few years back, and it was interesting to see my mom sort of like. I do think that they're genuinely in love, and I think that they would survive separate, but it really is impossible for me to imagine. It just wouldn't happen.
I imagine when you enter the health scare part of your life, that really reinforces relationships.
Yeah.
Because also it's like if you were to leave, then you like leave and 3 days later you're in the hospital and you got to call and be like, hey, I know we broke up, but like no one else is going to wipe my ass right now, please. And it's like mutual. I remember when my dad had his second divorce was brutal. It was a mess. And I remember he had some like medical stuff. And when he was single, she came. His ex, who they were in court suing over custody, and she was there. And I was like, you get it as you get older. You're like, yeah, she was nice enough. She could have been like, no, but she was nice enough to be like, yeah, you're in a hospital. You could die. Who else?
I'm sure there's a guilt thing too. Like you wouldn't want that. I would, even if that stuff's happening, I'd rather have the upper hand and go and not have to feel guilty if they did die. Oh fuck, they died.
I do love that your reaction was like, so your parents are still together out of like desperation. And, like,
well, you've seen those marriages where they hate each other, but they know that they just can't.
I mean, a lot. I would say
just
a lot of
full
my friends.
codependency. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you the child of your first?
Yes.
The first,
yes. So
I was child of second.
Wow.
Oh
You were
yeah,
a child
that's
of
right.
first,
It's
right?
another layer. Yeah. First marriage.
We're gonna need to
your
get 8
parents-
more people in the
okay.
podcast.
Yeah.
right.
I think we could do a full 6-second third marriage.
Can we call your half siblings in Oregon that you haven't talked to in 12 years?
No, please.
That's correct. I mean, I can't even conceive of having older siblings, let alone siblings that are like
that
half
is crazy.
on that side. I have half younger. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Number one, I can't even compete. Parents telling you. How did they tell you? They didn't need to tell me. How did they tell you at 9?
Mine's less exciting, so I'll go first.
Mine's not exciting. Mine's like sad.
Yours is pretty gruesome.
Yeah.
It was pretty like kind of standard. Like the one advantage that I had was that my mom was in sales. And so she was gone a lot anyway.
I thought you were going to say she really sold you on
Dude.
this is a good thing.
Yeah.
Trust me.
2 Christmases.
That's how she started. Like, you want 2 Christmases? I can make it happen.
No, she was gone like half of each week anyway, because she had to be at the other side of the state, or she'd be somewhere trying to sell whatever she was selling at the time. I think it was Aflac. So I was just I was used to her not being in the house. But then when they told us, it was really just like all of us in the living room, them making the announcement, but then they would couch it with like, it's really not going to be that different. And like, obviously it's still sad. Like it still affected us. My youngest brother, who was, I think 4 at the time, didn't understand what was happening. But for me and the other one, it was just kind of like, well, this is sad, but also like they're saying nothing's really going to change. So like, how is that? And I think it was smart at the time. It wasn't accurate, but I think it was smart.
Did you process at all like, oh, my parents don't like each other, or like?
Man, that's a good question, because like they talked about how they were fighting all the time, but in my like 9-year-old brain, I was like, I fight with my brother all the time. Like that's just like that's what you do, is you fight. And like they were fighting all through my childhood too. So I was like, that's all you know as a kid.
Well, that's
right?
like, I feel like that's the anti-divorce
like,
propaganda that they used to have of like, would you let your well, mommy, I get in a fight with my sister. Can I divorce her? And I once wanted to write a sketch where they said, you're right. Fair is fair.
You're right.
And there's divorce for your siblings too.
Yeah.
I actually said when I was a teenager, I got in a fight with my dad, and I said to him, well, you divorced my mom, and I'm similar to you, so why do I have to keep putting up with her?
Oh
Which is
my God.
one of the meaner. She hasn't heard that story, so hopefully she doesn't
she will
listen to this.
now.
But that's
Everyone's parents listen to every podcast they do.
My mom listens.
I know she will.
My dad doesn't know how to work a telephone,
No.
let alone. but my mom-
That's amazing. How was this recently?
yeah, it was last week.
Yeah.
She's such a bitch.
What did your dad say to that?
he laughed and was like, "You can't divorce your mom." I was like, so I said it kind of like as a joke. Like, obviously, I knew I couldn't divorce. I was old enough, but it was still like that sentiment of just like, yeah, we can just like end relationships that aren't going well was kind of like in my head. I think that's where it really
Don't
fucked
you
me
think
up.
of it like you can become estranged from your parents. That is the divorce from your parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
true.
But they don't encourage. That's still societally. It's like if you encourage
Yeah.
that, then parents might be like, "Well, I'm not taking care of this piece of shit for 18 years. There's no guarantee. The investment has fallen apart."
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, parents kick their kids out all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
So yours was more traumatic.
Yeah. My dad cheated on my mom.
Uh-huh.
And in a play that she like encouraged him to go be
Get
in.
out of here.
Like a community
out of
theater
here.
play.
Yes.
What show?
Oh my God, that's so romantic.
That is a movie.
And that's how my parents met too. Like he cheated on his first wife with my mom. And she wasn't even supposed to be in this play. Like somebody got sick and she was filled
Wait,
in and they were
wait.
playing husband and wife in I don't know what play it was. What they were in.
The first one.
Yeah. And then they were together
Macbeth,
for
probably.
like 20 years, had kids, and then he did it again in Dracula.
It's wild to be an adult who has another job and the showmance thing. That is so funny to throw away your life over showmances is like that is such
But
a
he started his life with a showman.
I know
so it's all
that's
there.
wild.
And he's still with his
New
wife.
showmance.
Yeah.
until
So
she
he
has
hasn't
another
booked a
play.
single audition.
She's got to be like, you're not doing a play. Like,
Fool me once.
he just like I just love imagining him like just loving the art of theater, and it's just like something happens to him, and he's just like, oh, I don't know, I'm feeling new. Oh man,
It
that's
makes
so
sense.
funny.
Look at Hugh Jackman.
Oh, I know.
Hugh Jackman just
You guys hear
left
about
his
this?
wife for
What?
What's her name?
Sutton Foster, the
Sutton
Broadway
Foster
star.
in Music Man.
Wow.
That's speculation
Oh, wow.
still, but yeah.
No,
I thought the rumor was that he was gay. Hugh
that's
Jackman.
always been a rumor,
It's
but-
always been a rumor. There's always open,
Oh, okay.
bi,
Sure.
but nonetheless, still with this partner for a
Okay.
very long
Long
time,
time, decades.
and then did Music Man, and the rumors are it's too much. Something happened.
Sure.
And the Music Man. The Music Man, not the hottest musical in the world.
Well,
not the not
76
Sexual.
trombones.
he did Wolverine, Deadpool, and just started to feel himself. Like,
Yeah.
really couldn't handle the fame.
Yeah.
First of all, that's amazing that your parents did theater. It might not seem amazing in this context, but that's
wild.
So were they professional actors? Was this just for fun, community?
This is like Montpelier, Vermont in the 90s and 2000s. So this is like, pretty low level stuff. I mean, I was like, this is incredible because I
Yeah.
had never seen any Broadway perform. I was like, this is amazing. My dad is Dracula. Cool.
and who was the woman? Who was she in the show?
Who was she? I think she was just one of the.
Like, did you see the show and you're like, that dancer's amazing? And he's like, yeah, she is. You like her? You want to meet her? When they told you,
So they told me in a song and dance performance, which was really good.
when they told you, did they give you that context? Who told you?
No one told me.
No one told
my
you.
dad disappeared while my mom and my sister were out visiting, doing like a college visit, or my sister was out of college. So she was out. And then, he just kind of disappeared. I did this whole, I was really into spy stuff at the time. So I was digging and I found clues. Because my mom suggested it over the phone. She goes, I think your dad's cheating on me. And he was kind of she was kind of joking.
How old were you?
But I took it really seriously.
16.
15, I think.
Wait, you were
when
into
that
Spy.
happened.
What got you in there? Was it Harriet the Spy? Was it?
I loved Harriet the Spy.
I loved Harriet the Spy. I went through a
Obsessed.
spy phase where I just
Yes,
wrote things
me
down
too.
in a journal.
I would go down the block and be like, Carol is out with her cats today. Suspicious. Yeah.
Is she one of the Spice Girls? I don't know who that is.
Harriet the Spy?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty far back. It was was it a book
that's
too?
true. Yes,
it was a movie.
Yeah.
Was it Amanda
book
Bynes?
series.
No.
No. Michelle Trachtenberger.
Trachtenberger.
My God, is this
I got,
person?
I got Nickelodeon mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember her in what else was she in?
Yeah, she was in something else.
Well, you're a big fan of the guy who started all the kids shows
yeah,
on
yeah.
Nickelodeon.
What's that guy? That fat
Damn it.
pervert's name? What's his name? Dan Schneider.
Dan Schneider.
Big Dan Schneider fan.
He didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you're in a spy phase.
Yep.
Your mom, jokingly, I think your dad's cheating on me.
Yeah.
How do you take that as a kid? Do you go, what?
I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna find out, and I was like, it's gonna be really fun, and it got less fun with time. But I
First of all, great movie pitch. Movie pitch. It starts out like cutesy, like Harriet the Spy, but then she finds out her dad is cheating, and it
it's a
becomes
really
like a
good
dark drama.
It's a
A24.
Yeah.
A24. Yeah.
Over it.
It'd be dark comedy. I think it's very funny to
Yeah.
imagine like a little girl finding out her dad is
Ooh,
cheating. It's
that
like
sounds fun.
fun little spy game. Yeah.
So did you? How did you look for clues? Were you going in his desk drawer or?
yeah, he would disappear for like at night, and I went through his jacket when he came back, and he had like a little rock in there that was shaped like a heart, and he had cologne on the jacket. And when I was like, "Where are you going?" He was like, "I'm going to Russell." This is his best friend. And he was like, "I'm going to Russell's house." So I called Russell's daughter because she was in my grade, and I was like, "Is my dad over there?" And she was like, "No."
Oh my God! You were a good spy.
I was like a good spy, and I found a little. Okay, so that blue triangle pill in one of his pockets. So I went on the internet because we just barely got the internet. I was obsessed with the internet, and I typed in what that was, and they were like, P. Pfizer, it like helps your dick get hard and stay hard. And I was like, oh my God, he's using this to like cheat on my mom because it must be hard to get. I don't know why I knew
it seems like your dad wanted to get caught. This is lazy,
I know.
just right in the pockets. My God.
Yeah, right in the pockets.
No. Also, pick someone. There's so many excuses that would not involve a friend that you know. Do you know what I mean? Like that's a crazy thing that would be very easy to prove wrong. Wow.
Yeah.
So did you report your findings back to your mom?
No, when she came home, he had already left, and I maybe told her. This is like
Because you told him you knew.
Yeah, yes, but I told him on the phone because he called on the phone from somewhere else, wherever he was staying, either with her. He must have been staying with her. Called from the. Oh yeah, I also listened in on one of their phone calls. Sorry, I haven't like talked to a therapist about this or anything, so this is all kind of coming out right now. I'm like, oh God. Yeah, I listened in on one of his phone conversations.
You like picked up the phone in another room?
Yeah.
And
it was, the phones from back in the day. So they heard it.
Of course,
They were
the
like,
breathing. Yeah.
The breathing, the click.
Eating snacks. Yeah.
I remember those days.
They heard me pick up the phone. She heard me pick up the phone. She was like, is somebody else on the line right now? And he was like, I don't think so. And then I was like, huh, and put it down.
So how long was this phase that you knew this was going on? I mean,
It was just, she came back from this trip, and then my mom did. She came back from the college trip. And
or how did you
he
tell your
wasn't
dad? I want to hear this moment you told your father that
I
knew.
That I knew. I don't. I think it was later. I don't know. Maybe it was when he called, because he called on the phone to say that he wasn't coming back.
But who was taking care of you if he was
My mom.
But
My
like
mom.
if your mom was gone on the trip and he was gonna leave before she got back, like
I guess he just timed it right.
yeah, okay,
Sure.
Basically, she's getting home. I'm not gonna be home when she gets home.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. And also I was 15, so they left me alone
Yeah.
sometimes. Yeah. I was
Wow.
pretty well behaved, relatively.
And how does your dad respond to that? You know this? Does he say, "Don't tell mom"?
No. That was him. He called her basically to be like, I'm not coming back.
Oh,
It's over.
okay.
And I don't remember if I got on the phone then or if it was later, but yeah, I was like, yeah, I know what happened, or I know that you were doing this. And he was like, okay. I don't remember it being like my dad and I are not like,
Yeah.
Sure.
like, let's get into this and like, let's hang out and play catch. Like we're just
Let's
kind of
take
like
some Viagra
business
together.
partners. Yeah. Yeah.
How long was he with your mom?
Like 20 years, I think.
And then how long
Wow.
he's been then with this new person in theory like 25?
Like 100 years. Yeah, like 25 years,
Wow.
yeah, something like that.
So
When did you?
Longer. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
well,
Wow.
yeah. They're going to wrap it up at some point. Like
Yeah,
they can't,
yeah.
there's nowhere else for them to go.
yeah.
He gets cast and waiting for Godot. Okay. Well, you won that round. That was a bloodbath. Dear
That's
Christ.
such an. I can't imagine being your. I remember one time I was visiting a teacher of mine. I'm going to be vague, and they were going to be performing at the Met, and that was a big deal.
Yeah.
And they invited me. I was in college at the time. And I knew this teacher well, and I knew their family and their wife and all these things. And so I went, and I was going to go to a concert after I went to the Met. So I went and saw their performance at the Met, and they were like, "Come out, have a drink, before you go off to the concert." And I did, and we're hanging out with the drink, and this like dancer from the Met. It was with us, and I was like it was like such a and he just said, oh, she's in the show too. She didn't have anything to do between, but so she's just tagging along. But it was like this young hot dancer, and I was like. And it was just so fucked up to be like, I know your wife, I know your kids, you know? And then 6 months later, they're getting divorced and he had an affair, blah, blah, blah. And he's married now to that person. But it was so weird to have me come and do that around me.
Yep.
Anyways, so I can't imagine.
How old were you at this time?
I was 21, 22,
Oh,
you know?
okay. Yeah.
But weird. It's weird when you're I grew up, I was a child and then knew the family.
I'm
and
always
stuff.
still amazed sometimes. There's some older comics at LOL who would openly talk about women they were with, and I was like, wait, dude, isn't your wife pregnant? And they'd be like, and you'd be like, oh damn, you're just talking about this. I'm not friends with you.
Yeah.
One guy, man, he said I have a rule. I never cheat on my wife unless the pussy comes to me. And I was like, that's not a principle.
Aw, babe.
Can we adopt that? And it applies for you too.
I was gonna say, if I
You
get
would
it, then
smoke me. Holy cow. You'd get so much more pussy than I would. She's got lesbians throwing themselves at her after every fucking show.
Let me tell you, this guy, there was just no way the pussy was coming to him every time. He was.
I just imagine him in his hotel room after a show, laying on the bed, just with the door creak ajar, just waiting for that pussy to come on.
Just leaving out some snacks.
Every once in a while, you just kind of open the door, look, see if anything's coming. Oh man. Okay.
Wow. So that's incredible because I've known plenty of people who found out a parent cheated when they were adults. I found out way later in my life that every relationship with my dad probably ended because he was cheating in some capacity. And in a way, not knowing about it, I couldn't even feel angry about it because it was so long ago. I didn't feel the fire of what the fuck, man. And I don't. It's almost sad because I just go that really messed up my life. It changed the trajectory of my home.
Yeah.
And yet I still can't feel I look at him now and I'm like, what am I? He probably can't even get it up anymore. I'm going to be like, what he was, it's no longer an issue. And I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people just aren't meant for monogamy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had to go back and forth. Nightmare.
Yeah.
I think that's the number one thing.
Yep.
Of going back and forth.
You were a little.
Just my whole life.
Baby.
Just my whole life was back and forth. I talked about in your podcast, the custody agreement kind of cut it into every other weekend. And I think it made it so I didn't have full weekends to go out with friends or do a thing.
Yep.
And also, if I didn't see my dad as much, so I'd be like, well, I don't want to go to someone else's house. It's my only day to see my dad. So suddenly I'm limiting my social interactions so I can stay here. And I think that was the biggest error that if I could fix, it was the layout of the custody agreement was detrimental.
Yeah.
At 9, do you remember your back? Did you go back and forth?
Oh yeah.
What was the regimen?
So my parents say it was every other weekend that I would go. I lived with my dad full time. Me and my brothers all lived with my dad because he was a teacher. So he had the same schedule that we did. And then my mom was in sales and was all over. So it made sense for us to be mostly full time over there. They claim every other weekend we went to her house, which was a 2.5 hour drive. I think it was every weekend for 5 or 6 years.
Oh yeah,
It feels like it was every weekend, despite what they say.
2.5 hour drive.
Yeah,
every
so
Saturday morning.
So it was. We would do. I was on the west side of Michigan. My mom was in Detroit, and so Friday after school, we would pack up our shit, drive over to Detroit. It was always rush hour traffic, so it was probably closer to 3 hours most times. We'd spend Friday night, Saturday night there. Drive back to the west side of the state on Sundays. And
awful.
Yeah.
Sucks.
I got really good at playing Pokemon on the Game Boy. But that was it was so hard because we weren't on the east side of the state enough to actually make friends over there. But
Yeah.
then
Of course. Yeah.
we the hardest part of it for me is, and I'm convinced this is the reason I've just got insane FOMO, is that I had to skip tons of birthday parties, tons of, like, I couldn't do travel baseball because it would have cut into the time.
And did
that
you ever
was
ask
there,
your mom, like, can I do this? Did she say?
She would say, like, no, we like that's too many weekend things and you've got to come over here. So it, like, there was maybe like 2 or 3 times it was like a big event or something like that we would she would allow me to stay back with my dad. And those are the best weekends because I was the oldest of 3. So like any time with just my dad on the weekend where we could just like watch football all weekend was the best weekend ever.
Sure.
But yeah,
socially,
most of the time we had to go.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, so and then in the driving, are they taking turns like getting you out there, or does your dad have to drive you out there every weekend?
No,
And
so
then
they would
like, how does that work?
they would meet halfway. So we would go to the Taco Bell halfway across Michigan and just exchange in the
Taco
parking
Bell.
lot like it was a drug deal.
Yeah.
Except it was just kids being trafficked across the state. And
Taco Bell's a sad exchange spot.
That's enough.
Pick a better.
they wouldn't even let us get Taco Bell. We were already in the parking lot.
It sucks for you, but what an interesting kind of thing for your dad.
Yeah,
To
right.
have like weekends.
Oh my God,
Louis
I
C.K.
know.
had
to
such a
be
good
like,
bit. Louis C.K.
wow, okay,
Louis C.K.
yeah,
had an old bit where he was like,
I'll have the weekend alone. You know what I mean?
kids are like, well, what are you gonna do while we're at mommy's? And he was like, and I can't tell him I'm gonna like get drunk and jerk off on myself for 3 hours and like eat ice cream until it's all over my body.
So eventually my mom moved back over to the west side of the state. So we still had to go over there, but she was only like 2 miles away.
Oh, great.
And that was a lot better, especially because I was
my
a
God, of
teenager
course.
and could like get out. But there was a couple times that I like went back to my dad's house without telling him I was coming back to my dad's house to like grab something. I think I caught him doing some stuff sometimes.
What do you mean?
Just like sitting in front of the computer and like I like would bust the door in and then I'd hear like in the computer room where like he
Wait,
would
your
yeah,
dad?
he would like get up and try to like I
This
just
is
heard
such
a
a
bunch of
reversal
noises.
of roles.
Yeah, right.
You caught your dad.
Knock before you come
Yeah,
in.
he's like, what are you doing here, Corey? It's like,
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
you know, that was a good impression of him.
That was a perfect impression of your dad. It's eerie. I don't
Thank
like it.
God.
No more. Please don't.
Okay, tough question. Who would you rather walk in on, jerking off your mom or your dad?
Oh my
Which
god,
is more uncomfortable?
boy, probably my mom.
Oh man, that's
Yeah.
really bad.
Just yeah, it's horror. It's not good either way. But I guess being a man,
Being
I
a
understand.
man, you're like, yeah, there's
what
a
my
little
dad's
bit more
doing.
Of,
No, but that's worse. I feel like I understand what my dad's doing.
I didn't see what he was
you know
looking at.
yeah,
That
it's
would
not
fuck
like,
me up.
You know,
Yeah. Well, that's how. Okay, so the way I found out that you could download porn on Kazaa. What came first, Kazaa or LimeWire? Do you even know what we're
about
talking
the same
about?
time.
Yeah,
I think
you're like
LimeWire was
LimeWire.
first.
Pirates Bay
Pirate Bay was more what I did, but LimeWire was around for us until it was all viruses.
It was because my
yeah.
dad's computer
Yeah.
broke, and then I must have been at my mom's. He downloaded a bunch of porn on my computers, Kazaa or LimeWire, and then I went there. I was like, "What are videos? I didn't even know you could download videos. Just downloading music." And I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah.
So that's how I learned about porn.
wow.
Directly from my father.
I learned because I forgot to put the Y in YouTube, and YouTube was a porn site.
God, that site must be worth
Very
$10
crafty.
billion.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now, did you before college ever like see your dad? Did you go back and forth at all?
No, because he was at her house,
Uh-huh.
and then they eventually got a house together. He would come over and go across the street to where his best friend lived, and he'd be like, "Come on over." So I would just
And you'd
go
be like,
over
"Oh,
and
are
like
you there
hang
this
out with
time
yeah.
for real?"
I would go out and hang with him and an older man. Super fun. Yeah, I'm like trying to figure out a time that I ever had like one-on-one time with my dad, and I don't think it ever existed. I think there was always someone there.
Did you ever know about his first wife? Did you ever meet her?
No.
That's wild.
How long was he with
they were
her?
young. I don't know, 3 years maybe.
So short. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
But
something
like
shorter.
kids.
I didn't know about them until I was 10.
How many kids is?
2, and they are
So 2
pretty
kids,
pissed
3 years.
at him. He has not spoken to them.
Since
Oh,
since-
wow.
He just left.
You
Just
you
left
don't
his
speak to
kids.
them. You don't.
I met them when I went to Bridgetown Comedy Festival about 6 years ago, 8 years ago, 8 years ago maybe. I don't know. And I was like, oh, they live out here, and I know that they exist, so I'm gonna try to link up with them. And I rented a car, and
have
I
siblings.
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I drove out there to meet them, and they are in a weird part of Oregon where the politics are not mine.
Oh yeah.
I found that out more later, but yeah, it was eerie how similar they were to my dad in a way that I was just like, and my dad was adopted. So we also met his siblings fairly recently, and they're also a little bit like him in a way that's like, who are you?
It gives you the ick.
Yeah.
It's not like cool.
No, they're also like, they're not listening. Yeah, they're a little strange.
Yeah.
My dad's weird, but they're like pretty fucking weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
What,
like
did they
some
grow
like
up without a
alternate
dad
universe.
or something?
No, not the kids. This is my dad's brothers.
I see.
My dad has 2 blood brothers, and one of them sounds just like him and looks a lot like him in a specter. Like he's like a ghost-like version of my dad. It just creeps me
weird.
out.
Yeah.
I feel like because I have a lot of like, I don't have that full, like my parents had a whole past family, but I have distant family.
Yeah.
And there's just like a thing where people always talk about like blood is thicker than, what's the phrase?
Water.
Blood is thicker than water. And they always talk about that. And that's because those are people that grew up like in families where it was like, they have nostalgia and history, but when you meet blood and you just haven't known them your whole life, you're like
Nothing.
It doesn't matter. I
Nothing
killed
happening
in
here,
a war. Easy.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay. So you got to leave this mess behind to a degree. Did you have younger siblings?
I had just one older sibling and then 2 older halves. Yeah. And she was in college, so I was kind of by myself with my mom, being like, "It's okay."
How did your mom take it?
Oh, so bad.
Oh really? Yeah.
She's still so fucking pissed.
Oh yeah.
She hates him.
Yeah.
Hates her. Hates him.
Can she laugh at
openly.
all about the irony that it was
No.
the same way that they met?
I
mean, that's
Yeah, that
That
is crazy.
And she was the one who, I think she more takes it as, and I was the one who encouraged him to go. And I'm like, it's not your fucking fault. Like,
Yeah.
it's a community thing. It's fine.
Do you
Yeah.
think any part of her feels like that woman's a better actor than her? He's attracted to
They
talent.
compete for a role on screen.
I'm going to leave you for a better comedian. I'm sorry.
That would piss me off. I mean, obviously, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if it was a worse comedian. Yeah, if it was a better comedian, oh my God, I'd be so. That'd be
They're
so much
bad.
worse.
You and
They're
your
bad in
mom would
different
be like,
ways.
"What
If they
you're
were
talking
worse,
about?"
I'd be like, whatever, fine.
Yeah.
yeah,
Worse
better
and
would
uglier.
hurt. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Better would
Better
hurt.
would hurt.
Oh, I'd
Yeah.
become a
But
crazy
Good thing there
person.
are
I
no
was
better
just about to say,
comedians than
good
you.
luck finding you and Taylor Tomlinson are together. I'm like, God damn it. God damn it.
Okay, so I'm trying to think about like another childhood aspect because
Yeah.
you would have been in college at this point, but you had the custody, you went back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Were they amicable at this point? I mean, it sounds like the
Yeah.
breakup was not cheating. It was just they didn't get along.
No, yeah, it was just like
She was
my
home that
mom. My
much?
mom cut it off, and it was pretty amicable. My dad's a very patient person. He's a middle school teacher. Like he's just very
my God.
patient. And my mom definitely tested him. Like she was like not on time with child support payments a lot, but like she always had like needed to have a super flexible schedule, so we'd like move around. Like when
Has a
are we
child
picking
support
it up?
payment
And
ever been made on time in the
no,
history
I
of
don't-
humanity?
I don't think so. It's even when it was like lost in the wire transfer or some shit.
Yeah.
But no, she always struggled with money, and so she was like trying to figure that out. And then she married another guy probably like 2 years after the divorce.
That's not long.
No, and they didn't date for very long. But then they adopted a kid.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my God.
Yeah, so it's like two 40-year-olds adopting a kid after being together for like
Did your mom talk
a
to you
year
about this
total.
at all?
So not until the kid was adopted. So
That's crazy.
so they got married like pretty kind of hastily, and then
I was going to ask if it was a shotgun wedding, but like with an
no.
adoption.
So the funniest part about my mom's weddings, because she's had 3, is like they started in a super nice church, and then they went to like a really nice Mexican restaurant, and then the third one was in a dive bar. It was just like,
I thought it was going to be the Taco Bell that you got picked up in between.
honestly, that's where I'm having my wedding. Is,
Yeah.
Wait, do you flinch when you pass a Taco Bell now? Are you like,
no,
ugh?
I love.
Or are
Taco
you like,
Bell.
let's fucking go?
That's where my
Okay.
family's from. What was I saying? No, so it was probably like 2 or 3 months. She was like over on our side of the state, my dad's side of the state, and she like picked me up like late at night. It was like 10 p.m. to like just drive around. And she was like, I have to tell you something.
It wasn't even your day?
No, she like came because she adopted the baby on my dad's side of the state. So she was just over there and she was like, hey, so like we were going to tell you that we were like put in a thing to adopt a kid because that was like, his name was Jim. That was one of Jim's things. He was like, if we're going to get married, then like we have to adopt a kid because I want a kid that, you know, is mine. And, she like picked me up and was like, I was going to tell you we were in like the running for it, but then they called us and they were like, hey, there's like a fresh new one right here. Like, do you want it? And they were in the system for like 3 days before this adoption agency was like, here's a baby. So like just 10 p.m. on like a Tuesday, I'm driving around with my mom going like, the fuck? There's like a newborn baby. I don't know what I was. I think it was just kind of like, what? It was too shocking, like a billion thoughts. It's like, is there money for this? Like, how are we going to set up the rooms? It's like, I'm a teenager. So I'm
Was
like,
there anything
do I
deep
have
of
to
like
sleep?
why you have 3 kids?
I got it more, I think, because of my first stepdad, like him wanting a kid, because his older sister also adopted a kid. So in my brain, in my like logical brain, I was like, no, that makes sense that he saw his sister do it, and now he's like, I want to adopt a kid.
I see.
And my mom was just like, part of it. There's a little part of me that thinks my mom thought they were never going to get approved.
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah,
She thought like, oh, I'll do this to satisfy him.
yeah, well, like, and it'll take years and like all this other stuff. And anyway, they divorced like a year later. So
Oh my God! After adopting,
yeah.
And do they have to split? Is she splitting custody, or or she just like you want?
She's
that?
splitting. So yeah, he lived with my mom. My half brother lived with my mom for like 14 years. But then he now lives with his dad full time, and I still don't know the story of like how that all happened. But he's got like a lot of developmental issues because his mom was a cokehead and like had coke in her system when he was born. So he's got like ADHD, bipolar, and like super great kid. He's super nice, like one of the most empathetic, like kind-hearted people ever. He just like has He's got to be on
to
Adderall
adopt
and
someone
like,
and then get divorced. That is wild.
It might not have been. It might have been like a year and a half.
I also wonder
or
if there's
2
a
years. It was
policy, like
quick,
if it's
though.
5 weeks, I do think
you return it.
you return it. I mean, 5 weeks.
Yeah. What's the warranty on this kid?
Oh my God. Well, your family's looking pretty good.
His parents are together, but there's also more families. I guess.
That's true. I mean, my dad's one of 12, so it's a huge family. You know, lots of different things happening there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
When my dad, when he had another kid, I was pissed because he told me when I was a kid, he told me for some reason, he said, I'll never have another kid. And then sat me down in the car and told me that his girlfriend was pregnant. And I think it was an accident. And I remember I was very upset. I was, because he literally, and my mom was like, why the fuck did he promise you he'd never have another kid?
It's a weird thing to tell.
Why would he promise that? And then the part she didn't say, and then fuck anyone without a condom. Like if that's the if that's the promise you're gonna make, go get a vasectomy.
Yeah.
So that's the difference with me, though. I think where your questions are coming from with siblings is like I had 2 siblings, and so like another one kind of made sense in my mind. I was like, yeah, more siblings. Like why would my mom not?
I get
want
that. I wasn't
more
upset about
siblings
because I had 2 on my. I have 3 on my mom and stepdad's side, and they got divorced too.
Okay.
And then my dad's house was like the bachelor pad, the fun spot. We would put mattresses in the living room as a wrestling ring, and it'd be there for a month, and it didn't matter, and it was fun.
Yeah.
And then this kid, sure enough, I was right. Like this kid fucked it all up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you 2 are dating.
No.
What?
You're not.
What?
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
No. Ew.
Shut the fuck up. That was good. That was fast. I had that moment of like, oh my God.
I did a lot of prep work on this, and
No, we just fuck sometimes.
Do you feel like when I was younger, I always felt, and it was, I was a kid, so I didn't fully like contextualize it. But whenever someone had divorced parents, I always had this thing where I was like, I connect with these people quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was my head, confirmation bias, whatever. But I always felt there was a couple people where I met them, and it was just like we connected on something. And I don't know if it was like a kind of cynicism that you can have even if your parents stay together. But I think there was something really really strong or like a deep understanding of like, oh, this is all hanging on by a thread, this family unit thing. How do you think it changed your views about relationships, dating, marriage?
Yeah, pretty. I'm just. Do you want? I get down on one knee. I have
That'd be
Laura
incredible.
Sogaret.
jealousy issues. The first like year of our relationship
God.
was like rife with me being like, did you just look at that woman over there? I'll murder you both.
Did you have to like turn down a role or something?
No, I never had to turn down a role. I definitely had to like, because I'm friends with a bunch of women. Just like, and it's equal number of women and men. I don't know why. I was bullied in high school, and I think I gravitated towards women because they were like nicer.
Yeah.
And so like, but it's not like I wasn't the guy that like had no male friends and like only, it was pretty split down the middle. And so like, it was almost like a game for the first year of our relationship where I had to like slowly introduce each one of my female friends. And then like, hey, so this is my friend. I've known her for 20 years and we've never done anything.
Is she hot?
Is she?
Did you have a crush on her at any point?
There was one time I was like, hey, so my friend's visiting town. She wants to go get dinner. And Carmen like got in a huff and I just threw my phone at her with her Instagram up. And she goes, oh, okay.
Oh no.
I was like, yeah.
But it's
And I hope none of their friends are listening right now. Which one of you
I
is
will
it?
never. Yeah, the nice part is I have so many female friends.
Yeah,
there's
that's true.
no way they
They're
would
not gonna
figure
know.
out which one
They're
it
not gonna
was.
know.
But
A lot of them are hot. So
we had one this week.
what one? What?
A new friend that reached out and was like,
Oh,
"Hey,
yeah,
I just
and I
moved
was
to
like,
New York."
Instagram.
but also it is true that like working in entertainment
Oh yeah,
is, I mean, I understand that your dad, it was like, you know, like a smaller thing production, like a smaller time production, but that's why arts in general it has always been counterculture to a degree from the kind of cold family system where it's like, yeah, theater is, of course you fall in love. You go do these acting things. I thought about it recently, how like the idea of you kiss someone in a scene for like a movie or whatever, like the idea that it's not cheating. It's like, no, it is.
Yeah.
Just because people are watching doesn't mean that it's not cheating. It just means it's probably a kink. Like there's something, but there's something about it. It's like, yeah, of course there's something. It's not like you turn off your humanity and go do this thing. I think who played Pierce Brosnan? His like famous line.
Brosnan.
Brosnan.
I like the
Brosnan, yeah.
Rachel Brosnan.
Rachel Brosnan's dad.
They fused. Pierce Brosnan.
Brosnan.
Brosnan. I think that he said this line. This was before the Me Too movement, but his line was on set. He said, "I apologize for a sex scene. I apologize if I get an erection, and I apologize if I don't." And it was like cover the full.
That's funny.
But I just think like we live in this. All the arts industry is rife with just like, wow, everyone here's kind of good looking, or everyone's put together, and it's because they're public facing.
Yeah.
And are you a jealous person?
No.
Is Nicole a jealous person?
No, I don't think so.
She said at a table when she said, "You trying to fuck my
I
husband?"
know, but I think it comes from jokes.
And I said,
about-
"No, Nicole, I swear it's just a podcast."
No, I don't think so. I think not really. No, not at all.
But you have that.
Yeah, and I think that's where it probably stems from.
Of
Also,
course,
I've, like,
totally.
Yeah, it's just maybe that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm throwing that idea out there. Could be. Yeah, but yeah, it's gotten better.
yeah,
Much better.
It's definitely gotten better
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I think we wouldn't
I
be
don't-
together if it hadn't gotten better.
No, definitely not. I don't have the jealousy stuff. Thank God, because you're just getting blown up by men all day.
Yeah.
But in my like earlier relationships, I would go into them waiting for them to end. You know, because in my brain, relationships end and it doesn't matter. So like there's no, they say like the sanctity of marriage, like that doesn't exist in my mind.
Nothing.
And the way that I think about relationships is like you're choosing to be in it every day, which is it's not comforting, but it does like keep it it makes sure that it doesn't backslide. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I'm always trying to like in my relationships, I'm always trying to like be better or be good because I don't think they last forever. But at the same time, like what I miss out on is the comfort and like the loyalty of like, hey, I can have a bad month or a bad year and still be with someone. So like wrestling with that concept of like, okay, can something be more solid, more loyal?
Yeah.
And is that a better way to do it than the way that it, you know, I generally think about it, which is like trying to always be better, you know?
Do you have, I definitely have like I saw how the divorce was so messy and how it left people in such broken systems that I very much have a like, always keeping in mind, okay, if this ended, are there things in place to make it better? And I mean like financial. Sometimes I think I'm more like financially. I get nervous or anxious about combining or whatever.
Yeah. Even
if I don't get married, I think I'm certainly at a place in my relationship where it's like, if marriage isn't on the cards soon. If I'm like, yeah, maybe in some time, it's like, okay, but then what other steps are being taken to like continue this relationship forward?
Yeah.
And I think in my mind, I have this thing of like, what if we broke up? Like, and I think about that socially. I think sometimes I go like, man, a lot of my friends are my girlfriend's friends, or just like that's my social chunk. It's like she leads the way because she's got a great friend group, and I go, that friend group vanishes.
Yeah.
And like, how much can Russell take of me? And
Who says I'll be here?
You said you weren't trying to fuck him.
sure, Russell is my girlfriend's client, and but he is, and there's just a certain degree of it's like, okay. I just always have that mindset of like, what happens?
Yeah.
What happens? And I think that's why like that problem becomes intractable with a kid.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I think all three of us is like, that custody arrangement sounds fucking awful. It sounds detrimental. It sounds like a childhood where a huge chunk is spent in the car. I think about the in the car stuff. My half sister on my dad's side, her mom like moved to West Virginia.
Yeah.
And you know, it was such a burden. I think about all the time spent in a fucking car.
Those people
on the
states away.
weekends.
That's another
states
level.
away.
Yeah.
I couldn't even imagine that. And I was a full 3-hour drive one way.
And I think about my dad too, where I go like, you spent all this time in a car. Like you just spent all this time alone in a car, and would it have been better to like do summer? Like, you know, some people do like, oh, summer is when I spend it with my dad.
Yeah.
Because this doesn't sound it's similar with mine. I go, this doesn't sound good.
No, summers sound worse to me, and maybe it's because I didn't live it. But like the idea that just like the whole summer's the best time to really build friendships as a kid, like those real like out of school friendships that are gonna last a while. And if I was just on the other side of the state for all of those, like I'd come back and I feel like every single year I was a new student.
But that was summer camp. I mean, summer camp for me, I loved it. I think it's because it was the only time that I was just in one place.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Yeah. Huh.
I just realized that.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I know. I'm like, I loved summer camp too.
Yeah.
It's like you
I
make your
hated it.
friend. You knew when it was starting and ending, and you were like, I make a really good friend for 2 weeks, and then I'm out.
Yeah.
And it felt like very solid.
I always thought we were going to be able to hold on to the friendships. Oh. And I was always...
Oh yeah, I'd write them a couple half-hearted pen pal letters, but you know,
Yeah.
I can't keep up with that shit.
I've told the story here, right?
Oh, what was it saying?
What were you saying about your summer camp?
Oh no, I never liked camps or things like that. I will
You had a
always
good family.
I always looked forward to time like alone, not alone, but like go. You know, we went to Cape Cod in the summer and stuff, and it was like quieter and like there was less social things, which I looked forward to. Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
So does marriage mean a thing in your mind? Do you go, I'm never getting married? Do you go,
I've definitely been that person for sure.
sure, I've been that person?
There's so
Yeah.
many tax benefits and like insurance.
Right.
Like she doesn't have insurance, but I do.
Yeah.
So like You know, it'd make financial sense for her. Lock down some of my money.
And I
Give your cat a good life.
I hate and money stuff makes me so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Why does it make
hate
you
it.
uncomfortable?
I'm poor, and I don't want anyone to be like, "Oh, they're taking my." I don't want anyone's money. Like he could be poor, and I would still be with him.
Sure.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that because you have to prove it by becoming poor, and you're probably not going
No,
to
I
because
grew
you're
up too
good at
poor to
making
become
money.
poor
Yeah.
again.
But who do you think's gonna like? If you know that in your heart that the money doesn't change it, what's the guilt in enjoying it?
I don't know. It's not mine.
Sure.
I don't know. I want to earn it. I want to treat people. I want to be
Yeah.
like, we're going on vacation. Get in the car.
I'm
3-hour
gonna
drive.
do-
We're gonna meet at Taco Bell, and then we're gonna get all the way down there. It's gonna be great. So maybe that's separate from relationship stuff. But I would want the money myself. I don't want to use somebody else's money. I don't know. It's ew. What?
The idea of like combining marriage and the money stuff, like they're all different. They're very different conversations to me. Like a party that's a celebration of love.
That's true.
I
Yeah.
guess. Which
Yeah.
again, that means it just doesn't.
Yeah. Well,
Like
'cause you
a
had
wedding
one
sounds
party.
fun to me.
Yeah, weddings are fun
But
to go to, especially.
Yeah, I don't know. Love for me is so it's so personal that like I don't need Russell there
Right.
to be like, look,
Well, I
applaud.
I eloped before the actual wedding. So we eloped for like a year. Not we didn't elope.
Forgive
for a
me,
year.
just I always forget. Define elope. For
we
me.
got married at City Hall, just
Yeah.
the two of us.
And why?
Just so I could fucking have insurance. We knew we were getting married. We were engaged, and it was like you plan a wedding, and it's like, oh, that's a year and a half away. But it's like we were just like let's just do this because I wasn't gonna have insurance.
Yeah.
And also we were like, why not just do it? And then because also the thing, we would have a lot of conversations about weddings, and you're like, it is such a thing. You want to have a good party and stuff, but it is such a like performance for like, oh, everyone's gonna be there, everyone's gonna thing. I don't know. There's part of it that was like kind of cool to be like, let's just do it in City Hall. We'll still have this thing. We'll still have this big thing for all intents and purposes. And I'm just realizing like if I'm supposed to be talking about this because I don't know if everyone knows. In our lives,
What that the wedding was a sham.
A lot of important people do, but like some people don't, maybe. And so
Who do you think
I
cares?
know,
Yeah.
I don't think it matters. Still, if you're stop listening if this matters to you. But anyways, yeah. So we did the City Hall thing, and then did the full wedding.
Sure, but it was mostly. If the insurance wasn't a part of it, there would be no reason to. You would just wait until the.
I guess
party.
so, but part of me loved it because then when I got to the party, when I got to the wedding, there wasn't like that thing of like, it didn't feel like as big of a deal. Like it felt, you know what I mean? Like in the way of like, we already did this. We're already married. We've been married for a year, year and a half. You know, like it just felt like.
Ooh, people should do it
It
that
felt
way.
like I hope this party goes well and
Yeah.
you're gonna have fun. And we got to do some nicer things like we did the vows and stuff there, which we didn't do as much of it. We had a really great officiant my friend who organized this lovely ceremony
for the elopement.
for that.
The elopement. Did you do anything romantic? Did you do a like?
I mean, we did
I love
like
you, baby.
it was very like it was like kind of what they have there, and you say a few words, but it wasn't as organized and as thought out in the vows and stuff. But it was cool to do
Rough
it there.
draft
It
of
felt
vows.
like it was like. I don't know, City
personal
Hall
and
in New York City.
yeah, it's
you know?
like
Yeah.
kind of.
You see all these other people doing it. It's kind of a cast of characters. There's the guy who like does it. His name was Jesus, and he was very like he was a real character. You know what I mean? It was very like.
What is it like? What is it? Tell me what is the elopement ceremony at City Hall? What does it entail?
I mean, it's like 5 to 10 minutes. It's very quick. It's you're waiting with everyone else doing it. You go into a room.
Is it like the DMV? Like, are you sitting? Are you standing in line?
No, you're like, you're kind of, but not. You're not. It's a little not as liney as that. Like, but you can see people, and then you have an appointment, and you go.
Were
to the
people
room.
dressed up? Were they all?
Some people were. Oh, we were dressed up a little bit, but then we were right there. We got nice photos outside City Hall and on the Brooklyn Bridge.
So they do. Did you hire that, or is that like
we hired that? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was like our witness was a photographer.
And so then you go in the room, just you two and Jesus,
Yes.
and
The photographer.
the photographer. And did you guys stand? And he's like, I now pronounce you man wife.
Well, he does a little ceremony. There's a little bit of a thing, but very short. You know what I mean?
What did he say? Did he say you now kiss the bride?
Yeah, you do the whole thing. Yeah.
He says that? That doesn't feel very governmenty.
Yeah, I mean, or I don't know if he did say that, but we did kiss in City Hall. But I don't remember. It just was this thing where you're like, where it was very quick and fun, and we also we went to get a quick breakfast after we did it, like a nice little breakfast, and then both of us went to work,
Amazing.
like on that day, and we didn't tell anyone,
That's fun though. Yeah,
So
you got your
it
little
was fun,
secret.
but the reason
Yeah.
I'm sharing is the thing of like when it came to the thing, all those kind of questions of like, oh God, am I doing this big thing? It didn't feel like that was there.
Yeah.
It felt like the stress was, all of our family is here. We're having a party. It's a blah, blah. But it wasn't, the relationship thing didn't kind of factor of like, oh God, what am I doing here? What am I committing to?
Can you
here?
imagine? Can you
marriage,
imagine when a wedding entailed? That's when you were gonna have sex for the first
God,
time.
God.
To me, not that I'm saying that that's better, but when that was no longer the thing, I think the party is pretty insignificant now.
Yeah.
Like if that was the thing, it's like this is a big night for you two.
Yeah.
You've
Yeah.
never had sex. That's big.
Yeah.
I'll dance to that.
Yeah.
Let's get drunk.
Yeah.
I'll hug you. Say congratulations. But without that, I go, what is this?
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
this? Now it's less and less. I don't know.
Yeah.
I went to marriage and they were in an open relationship, and I think like I go like great, but I'm not flying to Ohio for this.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's crazy to have a marriage and get married in Ohio.
Yeah.
Sure, I guess that's good in its own way. If you would you ever have kids, or no kids?
No kids.
You?
No kids.
No kids.
No kids. Me too.
But you were a little unsure. When we first started dating, I made it crystal clear. I was like, if you are even thinking that you might want kids, like we need to keep monitoring this, because I don't want to be the person who stops you from having kids if you want to have kids.
Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah.
I always said like if like the way that my life is set up now, then I will not want to have kids, because I try to follow this like philosophy of like humans are really bad at knowing what's going to make themselves happy. Like they've done a lot of psychological studies, and like they're never right about what makes them happy, but they're very right about what's going to make them unhappy, because that's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy where like if you know you're going to be unhappy going into something, then you almost definitely will be, even if it was objectively great. Like it's probably you just went in with such
That's hard to
like
hear as a cynic.
horrible. Yeah, it truly is the biggest argument against being a cynic. So like the way that I think about it is like I look at my life right now and be like, will I be unhappy if I don't have kids? And right now the answer is no, right? But I can't ask myself, will I be happy if I have kids? Because I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
Like they could be severely disabled. They could like just completely change my life 180 degrees, and like I could regret it immediately, and there's also a chance that I don't, but I don't know what that is. So I might as well go towards the like, well, I'm not unhappy living the life that I'm living, so I'm going to keep living the life that I'm living.
That's the thing. Whenever someone who does have kids, they're like, "Can I completely change my life?" Like, yeah, of course it did.
Yeah.
Like,
It should.
and I'm looking for it to not completely change my life.
Yeah.
So you're like, there is a thing of like, if you have that awareness of like, of course, if I had a kid, yes, it would become the most important thing in my life. It would change my life. I would be like, I never understood this, blah 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 blah. But I'm not looking to have that earth shattering awareness and awakening. So it's like I like going on trips with just my wife and I, and getting to do things and not having stress of that.
Yeah.
And it just is like one of those things. And also, it just I don't feel like financially anyone like our whole generation. It's just not set up in a way that feels like it makes any sense.
And I
to me.
think, I don't know, living, whether it's being New York with broken family, like I haven't experienced kids in a way of like, they're always around, or I haven't had a lot of relatives where I really saw how they dealt
I don't
with
have friends
1 and
with
2 and
kids.
4 and 5. It feels like so theoretical. I have a couple friends who have kids, and I've seen the kids 3 times in their whole lives.
Yep.
And it's like, how would I know? I don't have a support system near me. I think that's another thing with kids, where my friends who have kids and it feels good for them. It's like their parents are always there, and it's they're relatives, and I'm like, that's not happening.
Right.
Yeah, they have some sort of system. Yeah.
Now that being said, like if I started doing community theater and knocked up another cast member, like
I might throw all that out.
I don't think I would like really. I wouldn't be like, oh fuck, like what am I gonna do?
Wait, wasn't
But I
that one
would,
of our
like,
early ideas? Was actually that I was like, wait, what if we combine you with somebody else who wants to have a kid, and then you guys have a baby over there, and I'll just chill over here?
polyamory?
Kind of. You weren't gonna have sex with them. We are just gonna like mix them in a petri dish or whatever the fuck.
That was
they do.
never my idea.
We-
I don't
we
know if you
joked
voiced
about
that
it.
one.
We joked about it.
The thing that's nice, I fantasize about it. I go, oh, what if I met someone and we were already divorced and we had a kid? So like an amicable
There you
divorce.
go.
A kid with turns,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
That's kind of where I go, oh, that would make
co-parenting.
sense. Co-parenting, but like
Yeah.
a divorce where we like liked each other.
Yeah.
That seems good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems better
yeah.
than this shit.
Do you want kids?
I definitely I like if I'm at a wedding and someone has a baby, I'm like, can I hold the baby?
Yeah.
Like,
I love kids,
I love
but I don't
I
want
love
one.
kids.
Do you want
Yeah.
to move into that wedding? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, do you want to live in that wedding? I just like it's such a yeah.
I have that fear where there is something where I go like, oh, I just have flashes of like, oh, if I had a little girl, when I see like a dad takes her little girl to the Taylor Swift concert, and maybe I'm just looking for an excuse to go to the Taylor Swift concert. Very possible. Very possible. I'd always see it and I'm like, I'd be that dad and I'd be singing along. And yeah.
I do feel I feel lucky that I don't have pangs of that.
Yeah,
so I
same.
feel really lucky
Same.
that anytime I have a feeling about it, it's get me out of here. I do not want to be doing this. And I love kids. I'm a great uncle. I love kids, but like there's a thing where it's like it's anytime it gets tough, I'm like, nope, don't want to be here for it.
Same.
Don't want
Yeah.
to be doing this.
Yeah.
They start screaming, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Yep.
I can just peace out.
Let's go on to our next segment. This has got to stop.
This has gotta stop.
This has got to stop. This is where we're talking about something that needs to come to an end. Big, small, personal, public. Russell, do you have This has got to stop?
Yeah, and I can't remember if I've done this before, so stop me if I have. Okay. Because I'm like literally having a memory of doing it, and
Sure.
now I'm like, oh, did I just do this last time? Like it's crazy.
Okay,
that
I'll tell
kind of
you.
thing. This got to stop the snooze button.
Oh,
Okay, this has got to stop the snooze button because
Agreed.
because here's the thing, I hit snooze a lot. I think the ability to snooze is great. I hate that it's called snooze. It feels judgmental. It should be like rest a little more.
The
and push
lazy
that.
piece of shit.
Like
You
deserve
rest a little
this.
more. Snooze is like you fucking fat lazy piece of shit. Wake up, you fucking snooze is just that word is so judgmental. And if I have to hit it 5 or 6 times every day, then I'm
I think it
going
should be
to.
called something else the second time, the third time, the fourth time. The fourth time should be like, wow, okay.
I hate looking and seeing snooze each time. Like it just feels judgmental, and I feel, and that's how you start your day, being like, I'm fucking up, I'm screwing up, I should be awake. You know, it should be like, it should be positive. It should be rest a little more. Like, it's okay, buddy. You know. Anyways, that's mine.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
My This has got to stop is, have you ever been caught in like, I wanted to come up with a name for it, but like it's like the elevator, it's like the spiral of elevators where I was at a hotel that had like some kind of convention for like a band competition. And it was one of these where it's packed, everyone's leaving all at once in the whole hotel, and the elevator is full. And it stops at every single floor on the way down. I mean, they were all wearing these shiny orange suits, so it was like every elevator opened up to the same like fucking like high school juniors all going like, and they were all joking every time they stopped. And I'm going here and I'm like, I'm in this elevator for like 6 minutes going down, and I'm having a panic attack.
I know, yeah.
And I remember like moving into a dorm room, moving out of a dorm room. These were moments of like mass exodus where the elevators would do this, and there seems to be absolutely zero system in place to be like, elevator is full, just go down now.
Yeah.
And
I hate the joke, like the opening of each floor, and the people on that have to feel like they have to joke and fill that, like, you know.
I think there's a little room right over here.
Yeah. Oh.
And then also when there's that many people, this was like it beeped, which I think is just to say like it beeped as if to say like no more weight on this elevator, but they don't specify it. So you hear this new beep, and I'm like, does that mean we die?
Yeah.
Is it saying like
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
get off now?
Yeah.
So that's mine. Do you have This Gotta Stop?
I do. Well, that actually reminded me another to the same degree. The car horn honking outside drives me fucking nuts. This is the fix I want. I want the car horn to be just as loud inside the car as outside of the car. So if you're gonna honk, you better fucking want it.
Wow.
That's the rule. Because it's
good.
gonna
I like
suck.
that. I
It's
like
gonna
that.
suck for everyone.
Yeah.
Really taste their own medicine.
Oh, I like that a lot.
That's not my main one. My main one is this has got to stop. Sad TV commercials.
Yes.
What are we doing? Christmas time, they're always trying to tug on the heartstrings. There's one Apple commercial that just fucked me up. 3 years ago, it was a family going to the grandpa's house and the kids are running around and they got a little iPad. The iPad's a tertiary character in this fucking ad. And it ends with the old man. You find out he just lost his wife and he's just sobbing at this iPad that the kids just made a little slideshow of old family photos. And I'm sitting there trying to watch men be concussed on the football game. And I'm just sitting there tears. I was fuck you, Apple. What do you know? Cut out the sad commercials. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ASPCA commercials, we were talking about it.
I donated to one thing to save animals, and then they were like, so you love dead elephants then? And I was like, no,
Dude.
the opposite.
We were saying what they should do in that ad for ASPCA, the Sarah McLachlan one, is just put up a screen that's animals are suffering. We all know this. We're not going to show them to you if you give us money. And I'm donating $100 every single time I see that.
My theory with ads,
doing the Lord's work.
I thought the way ads should work is let's say you always are getting ads for Crest. And then you go, I own Crest.
Yeah.
I buy Crest.
I
get to scan a QR code and it goes, great. Every time you were supposed to see a Crest ad, we'll skip it because you already did the thing. And I think it should be, but that's, listen, this is the biggest regret of my life. I stupidly donated just one donation to the Democratic Party.
Oh my God.
It was right. It was right when Kamala began the thing, and I said, okay. I was moved in that one moment, and the fact that they are still emailing me,
still
makes me go.
Also,
I'll never donate. You have radicalized me by asking for money, losing, and then ask for more money.
Yeah.
You have something deep within me. I will never, ever give to a political party ever again.
You saw how much they spent on getting certain people to do their endorsements?
Yeah, but they said it's not true.
Is
there
it
were
not
other
true?
articles. They said that Oprah did not get money. Beyonce did not get money. They're saying, if anything, it was whoever put up the microphone probably got paid or something. They said that they were not paid. And I only believe it. Because I go, that press is worse than them making $1 million.
Yeah.
Oprah's press for I was paid $1 million is worse than not making $1 million for a day. That's the only reason I am inclined to believe them.
Yeah. So Oprah's microphone person got paid $1 million.
Sure. They also said Trump from Madison Square Garden, he had to pay, they paid the guy who owns, so they paid money too.
Yeah.
But I get it when you're only reading the Drudge Report for your news every morning. You start to get a skewed version of the news.
Let me one up you real quick. I didn't donate to the Democratic campaign. I worked for the Democratic Party in 2016. And so not only am I getting every single ad, every single email, every single text, I'm getting job offers. They're asking me to call people for them because they know I can do it. And my phone number is a Michigan phone number still. So I'm just getting my phone 7 or 8 a day. It was another level. And I was like, no, I'm not. I gave you so many hours back in 2016. You squandered it.
But how did the election go for you?
In 16? I think you know.
Let's hear This Has Got to Stop.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm from Vermont, so they don't even talk to me.
No.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, what a blue state. Mine is modern art. Can we stop pretending that it's good? It sucks. It's so bad. It's so bad.
All of it? Do you ever?
Pretty much all of it. Yeah.
Which-
I
which
like
museum
Dadaism.
did you go to
Is that
recently?
modern art?
What's Dadaism?
Dadaism. That's when
Dadaism?
Dadaism. Yeah. I don't even know how to
Yeah.
pronounce it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just weird, obscure shit. I don't even know.
Okay.
It's just weird shit for the sake of being weird.
It's that
but I don't
mix.
like the one where they're here's a knife taped to the wall. This is an anti-gen. Shut up.
Can you? Is there any part of you that can get into the space of, the fact that we're all taking a beat to look at it and think about it is what activates it as a piece of art?
I don't like that they're making it to make me angry. If that's the purpose.
You sometimes feel trolled.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like comment section, but art.
Yeah.
I rarely feel anything for any art. Like in term, I feel a lot for music. I feel a lot for live theater, for comedy. But like a visual it's so rare that I feel anything. If anything, it's a feeling of that's pretty. Like that's what I can summon.
That looks hard.
Or nothing. It makes
that looks
no
hard to do. That's
I
what I
feel
want
That
to
looks
think.
hard to do.
That's all I
That
want to
looks
think.
hard to do.
Yeah.
I feel way more from the thing that I stop and take pictures of, graffiti. I think art in the real world.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think the only art that's ever moved that really moved me was the Sistine Chapel. And I think part of it though is like it's in the space, so it's like a cool, as opposed to like here it is in a square in the middle of a wall. The Gaudi, he was an architect in like Spain, and it's like when it's the building, when it feels like it's part of the world you interact with, that's when I'm moved.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. Like some of these museums, I stopped.
Oh,
When I was
museum,
touring,
no.
I would
Get me
always
out
go
of
to
there.
museums.
No.
Especially when it's Jesus. I never need to see another picture of Jesus Christ ever again.
Yeah.
I cannot believe that no one
I'm
back
just
then
tucking a picture back. And no, I wouldn't.
no one back then said, ugh, this guy again?
Yeah.
Really? We need more? We need your depiction?
The church had all the money. So they were like, we're going to put fucking Jesus up. They were like, well, it's better than a blank wall, I guess.
Yeah.
But I
like
think
the glass stained windows. That was a pretty cool fun
Yeah,
thing.
I
I
like
like
those
that.
too. They're
Function-
pretty.
Function and
In
art.
a,
pretty,
yeah, in a
yeah.
house, it'd be
Right.
pretty. Yeah.
the problem that I've got with modern art right now is that I feel like it's just some rich fuck just iterating on modern art being silly. So like they saw like modern art and it was some guy pushing a few buckets of sand over and they were like, oh my God.
That's
and
a
then
real
the
guy,
next
by the way.
person, the next person was like, what's something weirder I could do? And it's just like iterating on itself. And it's all these rich people and they're not actually trying to do anything besides just like get attention.
NFTs
which-
really showed their ass. Like just in terms of you're like, no, you can't convince me that monkey picture is worth this.
Yeah.
This is a game.
Yeah.
And I think like something about NFTs really broke it down of like, this is garbage. This is just money laundering.
Yep.
Final segment.
You better count your blessings.
You better count your blessing. Something we're thankful for in a good negative episode. Russell, do you have a blessing?
Yeah, I had an Uncle Function show over the weekend, and we had a couple Debbie Downsiders come, which was really nice. And so I wanted to give a special shout out to Jacqueline, who came. I've met her before at a Debbie at a Downside live show.
Yeah.
At least once before. But she came. She brought friends, multiple friends.
Wow.
To Uncle Function. So it was a very nice, kind thing. And there was a few others I didn't get to meet, but I wanted to give a special shout out to Jacqueline. Thank you for coming, and encourage any Debbie Downsiders to come to other shows.
That's honestly the thing when you have people who like your work. It's like people who bring friends. It's like
know.
just know you're doing
No.
the thing.
She
You're
brought, like,
responsible
3
for
friends.
the thing growing.
Yeah.
If you can convince someone to go see a live show,
Live sketch comedy show.
oh my God.
Oh.
That must have, I mean, you must have fucking worked. You must have had some dirt on them, helped them bury a body. You helped them bury a body and they said, okay, but we're even for this.
Yeah.
A 5 p.m. show at UCB. We're even. Mine, I was in Indianapolis. And everyone said always go to the Children's Science Museum there. And in my reaction, they go like, no. But like their museum there, it's they have a full fossil lab in the back. Like it's like a real.
Oh, cool.
It's kind of strange because you walk in and they really have dinosaur bones or whatever, and then they have like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle statues in the front. So it's like this money's got to be made somehow. And there was a I don't even know, a scientist or a paleontologist, Laura Rooney, who wrote out to me on Instagram and kind of gave us the behind the scenes. Every museum has like a back where they have shelves of taxidermied animals and old like things they'll use for other exhibits, or they don't know what to do with, or taxidermy, but they use like arsenic to do it so they can't have it out because the kids will touch it. And you're there and you're looking at like these. I mean, they had children's coffins there.
Yeah.
Unused, but like from a different exhibit. They had a taxidermied polar bear. I had no idea how big a polar bear was.
Oh, you did.
Oh, I mean, they'll kill you.
Yeah.
And then fossils and just it was so cool. And it's also just a good reminder when you get into the weeds of science, you go like, oh, I'm so dumb. The world is so complicated. It's so and which is a lesson everyone needs right now in America. I think we all need the backstage show at the museum.
Yeah.
But always very cool. And for Laura to show me like literally a chunk of a dinosaur and how they like just take away the dirt and what they use to discover stuff. And very cool. So thank you, Laura Rooney. And let me shout it out right now. Atsuko, Ryan Harper, her husband, and Dylan Adler, they were in town and they came to my second show and they watched the whole thing.
Oh, nice.
And
Wow.
I feel especially with another comedian, afterwards I go, you didn't have to do. It was like as if I had imposed a burden. I was like, you did not have to watch me do that.
Yeah.
And they were kind and they stayed and and then we just talked in the green room and Atsuko and I were in New Zealand at the same time, flew back together, and she's just been very.
She's so great.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
And Ryan's her husband is so smart, and we talk about he understands the business, so it's very nice.
Yeah.
So a lot of things to be thankful for. Do you have a blessing?
Mine's like I just like that like animals have fur. I think I thought that's what the segment was.
No, it can
No,
be.
that it can be. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is there?
Isn't it so cool? They have hair all over their body. I have a cat. She's so cute.
Yeah.
She's covered in softness, and then I
Yeah.
put my hand on her. It's more soft.
It's much more soft than if we were covered over with our hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. They have. Yeah.
That wouldn't be. Oh.
Yeah. I was. It would. Yeah. It would just
Pube
be
hair,
pube
but
hair.
then like it's different because it's different. Like it would feel like it slowly transitions to like it's going down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that wouldn't be fun at all.
Yeah.
Like a pube cat.
Well, first of all,
That
first
sucks.
I am covered in hair, so I don't know how I take. Like, wouldn't it be gross if you were like Italian?
Oh, but like really covered. You know.
I remember learning in like science class the reason that like lice and crabs were different, evolved to be different, was just like our hair spread out in a way where like certain creatures adapted to living on your head and others like on your genitals. And that's like that's what created. I mean, don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that's what created.
No.
Doesn't make sense, but it makes sense why you would have two different like kind of. No one gets crabs in their head.
Oh, wow.
And people don't get lice in their pubes. It's specific.
Wow.
The things you think of.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Do you have a blessing?
I do. Mine's a little more serious.
Okay. Why are you looking at me?
It looks like you're about to
I
propose.
also-
I don't know the way that you turned.
No, I want to bring it back to the divorce thing because I think one of my something I'm grateful for is that my parents are like as turbulent as it was growing up. They are very understanding of this and like the comedy and talking about the weird stuff that they did when we were growing up, and like they get like what I'm doing on stage and like what I'm doing in podcasts, like talking about it. I'm not trying to be like malicious because I've got a good relationship with them now.
Sure.
But it's for the sake of entertainment, and like they do not like hold it over my head if I say something weird or off color or like say something that maybe they didn't want super known. So yeah, grateful for that.
Do you think they're like that? Because my parents, I mean, I could say similar. Do you think they're like that because they go like, oh, I have no right to be like, hey, don't talk about this tough thing we put you through? Like, is it an act of generosity or is it an act of self-awareness? Like, he had to deal with this.
I think it's both.
I told him about the adoption with 3 days notice. I can't be like, don't you dare.
I think it's different for my parents. I think my dad, when we were younger, because he was a English teacher and like a writer, he would write stories of like our family vacations and he would send it out to all of his friends, and there'd be embarrassing shit that me and my brother did. So I think he understands this is coming back around on him. My mom, I think
he walked in while I was jerking off at the living room table.
That was a whole chapter. And I think my mom is like the self-awareness, like she knows it was hard. Like it's not, I've heard of people's parents being like, what? I didn't do that to you. And it's like, I think she knows like this was not easy for us.
Interesting.
And whether she understands like each specific thing that might have stuck with me or not, or whether she remembers it or not, I don't know. But I think she like gets where this is all coming from. And then she also like has talked about the issues that she had with her parents and like who weren't divorced, but like obviously she just understands the like bitching about your parents is just part of it.
That's
you
nice.
know? So
That's great.
yeah.
Where can people find you? This is coming out December 17th.
Perfect. At In Cahoots Podcast.
Yeah.
Gotta
Yeah.
check out the episode you were on.
Please.
Russell, we'll have you.
Please let me know. Let me know.
Yeah, you'd have to come all the way out to Brooklyn. I don't know how
Hey.
scary that is for you, but
I'm here. I'm practically there.
oh,
You know?
perfect. At Corey T Comedy on all social media. I'm mostly in the city for the next couple of months. We're doing Boston together in January, so actually a month after this comes out. So if you're in Boston, come out. But yeah, TikTok, Instagram at Corey T Comedy.
Yeah. I'm at Carmstagrams on Instagram. And please watch my special. It's on YouTube at Carmen Lagala Comedy. It's called Sweet Batch.
Should be over 100K by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hell
Good for you.
yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
I may have seen somehow some I shouldn't say this. I may have seen some numbers of like some streaming platforms, like what specials actually have gotten on them. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The comedy industry is broken.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about
Yeah.
that.
So
Afterwards.
you should feel very good about that 100,000 views. I actually was wrong. This is coming out December 17th. Russell, what do you want to plug?
Our tour.
Oh yes, might as well
yeah.
say that now.
Yeah.
Try to remember the dates. I'll pull them up because I can pull them up.
Okay. Well, we have one date coming up in January, right?
Yes. By the way, Vermont. We were going to go to Vermont, and then we had to move it. But we're going to try to. It's going to get back on the books. So we apologize for that move.
Nice.
I love.
Trying to pull
You're
up
in
the
Vermont.
thing too.
Your show.
I don't think I'm allowed to announce it yet.
Well, no, with Ashley.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
That'll
over the
be
Christmas.
right after this.
Those will sell out on their own, though.
Sure.
At Vermont
Yeah.
Comedy Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. God, great. Club.
Okay, so January 22nd, Toronto.
Toronto.
March 9th, Chicago. March 11th, Los Angeles. March 12th, San Diego. March 14th, Portland. March 15th, Seattle. And March 16th, San Francisco.
Fantastic.
See the downside.
And join the Patreon, patreon.com/downside. We're going to try to live stream, hopefully, maybe that LA episode for patrons. You know, it's all tough to figure out.
News to
Patreon,
me.
you get the very timely episodes that are released soon after recording. I'm going to be in, oh my God, it's winter, but I will be at the Stamford Connecticut New York Comedy Club, December 27th, 28th. And then, listen, next year's starting. I'm in Vegas. I'm in West Jordan, Utah. I'm in San Antonio. I am in London, Ontario, Hamilton, Canada, Montreal. And I think at this point I will have announced I'm taping a special in Los Angeles. It might be sold out by now.
Wow.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you for a platform called YouTube. Ever heard of it?
That's where the views are. That's where the hottest
That's where the
specials
views
are,
are.
baby.
This is The Downside.
You're listening to The Downside
The Downside.
with Gianmarco Soresi.